Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Speed Gaming presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer Main Tournament 2022 edition. I am MindDM. I am joined in the booth today by Careless Rex. Rex, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing the same.
Yep, it's been a good day so far, and what better way to have a little lunch rush rando than to have a match between fcoughlin and Scottish Brave.
All right, this is going to be a very exciting matchup. What are the implications of this matchup?
This, I believe, is the first game in a best of three between these two, so the implication is the person who wins this match is going to be up 1-0. That's about the size of it. We are still in the round of 64 here. Both runners hoping to make it onto that next round in the bracket stage. And taking home the W today is what you're looking to do to put yourself in a good footing to do that. Our mode today is the Tournament Open Hard, also called Open Heart Surgery, also called Qualifier Mode. It's that modified hard item pool, which we'll get into a little bit as we go. Our runners should be underway here momentarily. Of course, there is that 10-minute tournament delay, so they've been at this thing for a little while.
Yes, and we'll be catching up pretty shortly here in just a few seconds. All right, and we're seeing a sanctuary start.
And a map in the Sanctuary. Of course, it's always a map in the Sanctuary when you're playing open mode and you can start there. Every time it's a standard start, you find it in the middle of the escape and you think,
Exactly.
I could have just not had to raid the poor box today, but nope, we're going to do it anyway.
Yep, that's going to be on the list, on the to-do list for them. And we're seeing some deviation. Could we be seeing an early Houlihan here by Coughlin?
That is what it appears to be. One of the things about the open hard setting is with all of the extra pieces of heart in the pool, some of the cash resources, the bomb and arrow resources, are removed to make room for those. So getting a little early money here to make sure that you can do the things you need to do, particularly in terms of buying bombs and doing bomb-related checks, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I definitely like that play by Coughlin. Scottish going for the more hope to find the money along the way route, which you typically see in open, but as you mentioned with the hard, the Houlihan is a very attractive play early on.
And it's certainly a play that can still work out, though we see Coughlin going to go ahead and use those 50-50 bushes to get at least one bomb. That way, if a race game is something, he's going to be able to get his hands on it.
Yep, very good forethought there by Coughlin. Oh, bombs on the...
You could spend one to gain 3, but I doubt that you will.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain like, that is definitely not worth the time. Saying you just buy bombs with the Houlihan he did.
Yeah, you spent the time already on Houlihan. There's no reason to double down on spending the time to turn one bomb into 3, especially when you could take it over to the bombable hut over in the southwest corner of the village here and farm as many as you want much more quickly, if you were really inclined to. Speaking of bombs, it does appear that Scottish found some somewhere up there.
Yes.
Maybe that was a tree pole?
It's possible. I know the bush crab was... Oh, there's our lantern. Was the... was arrows.
Alright, my best guess is going to be tree pole then, given that she had 4.
That would make the most amount of sense. All right, some very different routing through Kakariko here by both runners, but they'll achieve the same things in the end.
Yeah, we'll get a high five right in the middle, probably around leaving the well here for Scottish and heading in for Coughlin.
Always love to see the high fives. They warm my heart. And there's our bow. That is, with lantern and bow, what, maybe Eastern? Oh, and a sword. Okay.
Just drop by Kakariko Well, get the things that you need to succeed. Alright, nice early game.
And I can't remember where the mushroom was. That might have been in Blind's hut. No, it was in the well as well. The well as well. Scottish going back in. Maybe for the rupees?
Yeah, picking up enough rupees to check bottle vendor. This is an advantage that Coughlin had. Having done that, Houlihan did not have to take all of these additional screen transitions to pick up the extra 30.
Yes.
Kind of an unexpected double high five between the runners there.
Yeah. You love to see it. And it looks like Coughlin now has ether, which may or may not be needed. We'll see.
It's a handy kind of thing to have if you can get enough money to light it off in Mini Moldorm Cave. It's a whole lot better than trying to chase all those Mini Moldorms around with some bombs in your sword.
That's a really good point. Yeah. You know, there's a number of rooms and situations where those medallions can come in surprising handy, especially early on or in a hard mode.
Come back here, you worms, you. I just want you to go away.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot stand that room without proper tools.
It kind of felt like during qualifiers, every single time you were going in there without a sword, without anything except bombs, and maybe if you were particularly unlucky, a hammer.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like bombs would be more difficult, but that hammer, the hit box on that hammer is so awkward. And then combined with their obvious weird movements. And here we go. Some synchronicity happening here.
Yeah, our runner is pairing right back up here. The only real difference looks like Coughlin, having done that, Houlihan has some more money and some more bombs.
Yeah, and those bombs may come in handy. Still gonna check Eastern first, though. With those bombs, South Shore, I wouldn't have blamed him for going South Shore. It's just when you get bow and lantern so early, Eastern is like, well, I mean, I guess the seed just wants me to go to Eastern.
Yeah, particularly when you're Fred Coughlin and you've done a map check and you know that Eastern is a red crystal. Ooh, we've got a hammer and wow.
Okay, hammer and mirror. Leave a bomb for Sahasrahla.
I took all your things, but here, you can keep this.
Yeah. So we've got hammer, mirror. What we're missing? Glove for Dark World to access at this point.
A glove for Dark World access. We're going to need a Moon Pearl to be able to move around there, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
We could get particularly unlucky and get another sword or the cape and then have to do Aga for it.
That's still on the table. I can't remember. I know that Scottish saw what was on the ledge for the lumberjack tree. I think it was 20 rupees. But that doesn't necessarily mean Aga's out of the count just yet.
Yeah, I don't recall it being anything that jumped out at me, so unlikely to be doing Aga for whatever that item is, but could just be the intended original Dark World access. We'll see. There are still a lot of checks left to go.
Absolutely, because there's all of South Shore, Mini Moldorm Cave, of course, included in that. So lots and lots of checks.
Could do a little out of logic flipper shenanigans if you really wanted to. If you're already down there anyway and you've cleared out the entirety of the eastern area, you want to see if you can't dodge around something like an Aga play, I could see somebody doing it.
That would be a big play and a huge advantage if someone decided to rush Aga over doing those out of logic checks.
It does appear that what I call the pests, things like the rats, the popos that Scottish Brave just killed, the Octoroks, are in the bomb pack. So Scottish is going to have some available bombs here. That pack also includes the Mini Moldorms. So when our runners get down to Mini Moldorm Cave, Scottish may be in an okay position to get a few more explosives if she still needs them.
Which, yeah, you want to be able to have. Though typically, it's nice to have that prepared before going down there, but now with that knowledge, she'll be able to route that in a little more easily without that worry in the back of her mind. Like, do I have the bombs? Am I going to be able to get the bombs for this? So far, a lot of nothing in Eastern.
Eastern Palace coming up a little dry. Sometimes that early bow can be a bit of a red herring, but it does have that red crystal attached. You do have to collect all 7 crystals in this mode, so it's not like it's going to be time poorly spent.
Yes, it's going to be nice to just get that out of the way. And of course, you know, as mentioned, it's a red crystal, which is always nice because then you're only looking for that one other red crystal, and there's a couple more checks there if you need to go do those. Okay, another fetch quest. We've got both of our fetch quests. The mushroom and the shovel.
Both ever so mildly out of the way. I would expect to see South Shore before those get checked.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would expect that as well. Unless somebody wanted to go for the bold play and maybe found glove on the mushroom or something. But yeah, South Shore makes the most amount of sense at this point. Depending on what's on the Armos Knights. Which I haven't been paying attention. I'm not sure if we found the map. I think we saw the compass.
I know we saw a 20 rupees and that shovel, so I've counted 2 items. We found 3 things, says our wonderful tracker Akuhesh.
Okay.
Coughlin going to be first into this fight, set up for a very nice quick kill on the Armos Knights. Yep. Has it with one extra arrow before the wall.
And there's our map.
Always feels pretty good to put that first crystal on the board before you even reach the 11-minute mark.
Yeah, that's gotta be... I mean, not that anyone would feel that they've got an advantage over the other considering how the seed's going. I'm sure they're expecting each other to be roughly in the same spot. But it is a nice feeling. You feel like, man, this might be a jet seed. We'll see.
Yep, you expect that if my opponent wasn't doing this essentially when I was, it's just because they decided to go ahead and do South Shore first.
Yeah. So we are going to see the shovel before South Shore over on Coughlin's side. We'll see what Scottish decides to do. And Scottish is going to go straight to South Shore, which definitely makes a lot of sense. But we find a cane. Doesn't open up anything, but it's really nice to have, especially for dungeons like Ice Palace and a number of other ones. So we will need it eventually.
Much more interesting as a Dark World item. As a Light World item, it's nice when you don't have something like a sword yet. You can use that as a blocker and damage dealer in something like Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yep, and it just depends on how quickly... Depending on what we find here in South Shore, it might delay Scottish going to check that dig game. Might have to route it into some Dark World checks, which would be pretty efficient with that mirror. We're just looking for that moon pearl and that glove.
Yeah, having the mirror already is another decent reason to not rush right to that check, although there's nothing really keeping you from it. There was no saying that wasn't just going to be the glove, and then
yeah, exactly.
You're just looking for a moon pearl for Dark World access. But Scottish deciding to head for the density first, which is a perfectly defensible play.
Absolutely. Yeah, typically you want to try and stick to the high density plays, but it can make a lot of sense to, depending on, like, if you know who your opponent is and what they typically do, it can make sense to try and do something a little sort of out of the way to possibly gain a small advantage.
There's certainly been a lot of talk over the course of the tournament, at least in circles that I run in. How much do you want to try and meta off of your knowledge of your opponent versus how much do you just want to play your own game? How far away from your own game can you get before you're just not playing well?
I mean, that's a valid question. Because when you think too hard on some of these things, or you try to play too much meta, it can end up burning you. In more ways than just you lost. Like, maybe you don't have as much fun playing the game because you're too busy worrying about what your opponent might be doing.
Now, Rex, I hate to say it, but we're starting to run a little low on locations where anything that gets us into the Dark World can be. I guess we can go ahead and do the front of the castle here at some point.
Yes, neither have checked Uncle, so there's that. We're going to see some fake flippering here from Scottish Brave.
Going to go ahead and use the whirlpool system to go turn that mushroom in.
We are going to see possibly an Uncle and then back of escape check. Front and back, just all of escape possibly. With those bombs, we'll definitely be able to finish everything, and the lantern's not going to stop us. Not that it would. I'm sure these runners are comfortable with dark rooms. And we'll see what's on the mushroom here. I'm going to say book, and then desert has our vanilla gloves. Oh, nope, Uncle has gloves. Okay, well, Uncle made a liar out of me.
Mushroom for 10 sticks is kind of a tough proposition. Scottish Brave choosing not to save Scummit does not know that the Cane of Samaria is going to fall into inventory whenever she gets around to making that shovel check.
Yeah. Bit unfortunate on that. But, I mean, there's not a huge chance that something's on the bat. We're going to get the rest of escape while Scottish picks up her glove. There we go. We're still on the hunt for that moon pearl. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, like, logically speaking, the moon pearl could be on something like the pyramid ledge, requiring you to beat Aga first.
Certainly.
Does the logic do that? Okay.
It's uncommon just because there are so many places the game can put the item, but I've certainly seen it there before.
Yeah, so it's important to note then that, like, logically speaking, you might have to go into the Dark World before actually getting your Moon Pearl. Though I'm not sure how many spots would be available. Like with Mire, maybe Catfish puts like something weird like that.
The Catfish would not, because you would need to be able to lift a rock. One of the big kind of rando tricks that gets played on newer runners is a Moon Pearl in Checkerboard Cave. You can have to walk through the entirety of the Mire area. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there's a couple spots, but you know, as you mentioned, it's unlikely because of all the other spots it could be in. One being Back of Escape, possibly.
Back of Escape's a possibility. We have full logical light mountain access at this point. We have the lamp and the glove to make the climb. We have the mirror to get to Hera, and then the hammer to go over to East Mountain. We've got a lot of options since that glove appeared in the inventory.
And the Moon Pearl could be anywhere. Yeah, I completely forgot about mountain access with the in logic now because of the, not just because of the glove, but because of the lantern that we got. Another heart piece. You weren't wrong about those heart pieces. They're showing up everywhere.
Yeah, roughly 1 out of every 4 checks is going to be one.
All right, so we're going to see Coughlin. Coughlin didn't forget about those checks. Just it's faster to, I believe. With did he save and quit, or was that a mirror?
He definitely had to save and quit there.
Okay. Yeah, it just happens to be faster than going through the rest of the rooms. Okay, well that puts Zora and Waterfall Cave into logic. Moon Pearl could be there.
The options seem to be expanding every time we make another check. The Moon Pearl's still outstanding.
Yeah, we'll see if Moon Pearl is on Hobo or in Waterfall Cave. That early fake flipper could have been a good play.
The only danger of something like that is, then do you remember to go do back of escape and pick your actual flippers up? Let's just pause it for a second. That
Yeah.
Swamp Palace is a crystal dungeon.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, how long are those flippers delayed at that point? So, yeah, break-in logic is, I don't know, sometimes it's an easy choice, and sometimes it's like you might get burned because you put something off for so long. It's a bit of a gamble.
One of those things that a runner has to bear in mind, the skips in the logical chain that I've made. If I wind up needing something that I've sequence broken around, do I remember where I should go looking for it?
Yeah, exactly. Now if you're following the logic like to the T, then it's pretty easy to follow. But the more you break the logic, like you're mentioning, it's like, well, you have to remember at this time I didn't have glove, and then I found flippers when so you have to you think on multiple layers depending on how many times you've dipped outside of the logic. 20 rupees on the ledge. Okay, Ice Palace, our other red crystal, and Mire is the green pendant. And was it Swamp Palace was the other pendant?
It was Pendant Swamp, so that whole thing we were positing with Swamp Palace being a crystal, we can throw that right out the window. As long as there's nothing required to progress in some other dungeon in there, we could have left those flippers in the back of escape the whole game.
Wow. Wow. But I guess it remains to be seen. Maybe one of the rods is in Swamp Palace or something mean like that. Hookshot could be vanilla. Who knows? It could be anything. But we're gonna hope that that's not the case for our runners.
Maybe we have a kind and generous seed. I've heard that those exist.
Yeah, I've heard rumors. My grandpa used to talk about seeds like that. I always thought they were a fairy tale, but maybe we'll see one today.
What we're certainly seeing, at least for the moment, is a rather linear seed. Both of our runners have not gotten a great deal in the way of choices. Now, as soon as that Moon Pearl hits the inventory, all bets are off. We'll see runners go every which way.
There's going to be very likely some deviation from the path. Our runners making different choices because there's going to be a lot open.
And I should note that Scottish Brave saw one item there in the Hera basement cage and decided, you know what, I'm not really worried about whatever the second item in here might be. If I have to come back later, so be it, but for now, I'm gone, and is now pretty much step for step with fcoughlin in Spiral Cave.
I think that's a good play. I can't remember, is Tower of Hera a pendant or a crystal? I didn't see.
It is a pendant.
It's a pendant, yeah. Okay, so may not ever need to come back there. Which makes sense to maybe bet on nothing useful being there, especially with all the density on this side of the mountain.
The long, slow walk through Spiral Cave is one thing, but then you've got 7 checks worth of density here in Paradox, and you say, that sounds like a lot better choice than climbing up Tower of Hera, maybe having to fight the boss for an item, maybe I'm going to wind up having to go to the basement for it. That sounds pretty terrible.
Well, there's our book. You think maybe Moon Pearl is in desert? We're going to get some weird, French vanilla start to the game?
Second sword in desert, so you can come back up and pull. Nope, never mind. There's your Moon Pearl in the left side of Paradox 5. I was going to say, no, we'll have to reclimb the mountain for it after we get a sword. Ooh, and
hey, our glove. And, well, if there's anything on the whatever that's called, Bumper Cave, that's the one. So we got a lot of goodies in this. This was definitely the play to skip the rest of Hera and come straight here.
Coughlin was trying to set that bomb jump up. Scottish intentionally fell off. They both wound up at essentially the same place at the same time. So about that gaining the Dark World access and having divergence, not so much.
Not yet, at least. Finding the Moon Pearl here. It makes sense to do these checks. Maybe if they're really lucky, they find hook shot or even boots. So they can check Hookshot Cave, at least some of them. Okay, what do we have here? Another heart piece and some money.
Imagine finding more heart pieces in the qualifier mode.
I didn't expect that.
Never happens.
Whoa, that's amazing. So, Scottish just a few rupees shy of being able to check Zora, but Coughlin has that money. So we might, I don't know, we might see a Zora check from Coughlin, depending on how they want to route the Dark World, but there's a lot to do before we get up there. And I'm sure Scottish is going to find the money that she needs beforehand. Oh, we're going to get a ped check. Or not a ped check, no, we're not. I thought we were going to go get that, because we have our book now. That made a liar out of me.
There is a first bottle over here that Scottish is having to remind herself exists, and then remembers as she ducks into the cave, oh, that's what I had, that's why I had not marked that little green square off. Hold on, let's go get that really quick.
Yep. Makes sense to pick up this bottle.
Now, all of them are placed. It's entirely possible, even probable, that Fred is going to find one of them somewhere else.
Very true. And there's not some astronomical high percentage chance that Sick Kid has something.
Now, it is a little convenient if you want to start making those flipper checks and you can turn it into the waterfall fairy and maybe get a nice refill.
Yeah, it's always nice when you have a bottle going into those caves, because those potions can be really good, assuming you get a blue or green potion. Red potions are useful too, but especially with half magic being out of play in hard mode, having something to refill your magic is nice to have, like, as a peace of mind. Oh, and there's Boots in Hype Cave.
Along with one of our bare handful of full heart containers.
Yes. So, a pretty decent Hype Cave. It's been a while since I've seen one of those.
The divergence paying out of it, it's kind of funny how in the light world, Scottish Brave came at the light village from the top and Fred came at it from the bottom. And now into the dark world, where Fred Coughlin went in at the portal at the village, while Scottish Brave started on the middle of the map-ish and is going to take this, what we call the southern loop, up into the village with the convenience of those mitts. And here we are also using the mirror to chain in that shovel check.
That's going to be a small time save, and especially finding those boots before Coughlin is going to be some advantage there as well. But I don't suppose that Coughlin is going to be delaying Hype Cave too long.
It's the kind of thing that you're very likely to land on in the somewhat near future unless this turns into some kind of a Northern Dark World loop to Catfish and then you dive into Pod here. It seems unlikely, though. The density is pretty much in the other direction.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right, we're going to be seeing Village of Outcast, at least some of it. I'd imagine you just do Thieves Town while you're here.
There's no reason not to. You have the hammer, you've got the glove, so it's not even inconvenient. You don't have to kill your way through the kill room if you can't lift that particular steel block.
Yep. There'd be no sense in delaying it. And we are going to see a blacksmith from Scottish here. Which makes sense with boots and hammer. We come over here and be able to do that. Now, Scottish didn't scathe scum the whatchamacallit, the mushroom. Oh, flute in Thieves Town. That's nice. Especially because you just mirror out and activate it.
And that'll be even more convenient for Scottish if she wants it to be than it will be for Fred. Fred's going to have the Southern Dark World loop as a whole. Scottish having already done the Smith here, the one potential downside to this is you're putting yourself in a really tight spot vis-a-vis ever checking purple chest. But once you have the flute show up right there, you can just activate it, go grab purple chest, and then mirror and flute and turn that in that way.
Yeah, and leaving purple chest right now is definitely the right play from Scottish. And like you mentioned, she doesn't know this, but she's going to be getting that mirror. So if she wants to do that, it's going to be a very easy, convenient option. All right. Some standard Thieves Town. Going through it. There's not too much you can do with Thieves Town. Unless, of course, you're playing some other mode.
Small child laying in bed, just another one of those 48 pieces of heart. So early, the choice to get that bottle relatively earlier, not paying particular dividends at the moment.
Yep, this is going to be a time save for Coughlin. Depending on if Coughlin doesn't find a bottle and is extremely desperate for like last locationing items, then I don't imagine Coughlin will be going back to spend the time to go to drop down and get that.
And the nice thing about finding a bottle wherever it is, once you have the flute, is the small child's house there is just right next door to that flute spot at 3.
Yeah, that flute makes a lot of things very convenient. It's a really good find, especially early on when you've only got one crystal. Be fluting all over the place to get this stuff done.
Here's that room I was talking about. If you have no glove, you can't lift that big steel plate, but the door to the left will open if you kill everything in it. It's one of those convenient things that you never really think about, because in the vanilla game, you've always got a glove because you had to have one because you needed it to clear Desert Palace. But in the randomizer, that can matter.
Yeah, that's what I love about the randomizers, is there's little details like that you don't think about, but that are options for runners depending on how the seed goes. One of my favorites is the fact that Bombos can be used for Ice Palace instead of the Fire Rod, which you wouldn't normally think about in any other situation other than a randomizer, because you've got the Fire Rod by the time you get there. All right, we're gonna get some blind cape strats.
One of those safeties that you equip just in case you hope to simply stay on script and not have to worry about it. But
absolutely,
in the case where you wind up needing the safety, it's already there.
Yep, so far, blind being very cooperative. Standard fight. One hit there, but blind goes down without a hitch other than that.
The flute in the front and the crystal at the very end, the two things that we really care about in that one. Coughlin putting that second crystal on the board at 33 minutes.
Yep, and finding that flute when you already have the Titan's Mitt makes some sense. Possibly going to Mire at some point, because there's going to be a few checks there, and you can see. Although Mire is the green pendant, so we might delay that. Even though we have early Samaria. I should have known early Samaria. Mire's not going to be needed.
Well, that's potential, but by the same token, we're going to be able to flute into the area, and we have that mirror, so we can backdoor into desert, get there a little more quickly. We can check
True.
checkerboard cave in addition to the Mire shack, which is a couple of quick checks.
Yeah, because we definitely need that crystal from desert. So there's no sense in like if you go over there. Oh, there's that bottle.
Yeah, the bottle's practically right next door, interdimensionally next door, but all the same.
Absolutely. And so yeah, Coughlin not losing time to dropping down to check it on the mountain to get the bottle. It's like you could predict the future. You knew that Coughlin was going to find one along the way.
Well, they all could have been out of the way, but the likelihood of that was fairly small.
Yeah.
There are 4 of them, after all.
Coughlin going to turn in his sick kid. I guess pretty convenient considering the bottle's right there. and Coughlin leaving a lot of bombs for these people.
That is something of a signature of his.
I love it. And I like it especially considering in hard mode, so these bombs can be a little more difficult to come by. I like the consistency from Coughlin there.
Scottish also putting that second crystal on the board just a couple of minutes later. Now, she's already done this southern portion of the Dark World here that Coughlin's working his way through now. But we could see her head up toward the Skull Woods area. But with that flute and without the fire rod in inventory, maybe you try and put that off and you decide the Mire area has a little more on offer?
I agree with that, going Mire instead of Skull Woods. Because we saw Coughlin dip into Skull Woods, but you can't complete it. So, and it's a crystal, so you're going to have to double dip. Although Skull Woods is not terrible to have to go back to because once you get the fire rod, if you've checked the front, you can just go straight to the back.
Here we are, Scottish back into the Dark World, but appears to be doing something that I had mentioned might happen before she even got that flute, which is picking up the purple chest, and we're going to make use of the flute for a little bit of a time save.
Here we go. Now this, I could be wrong, but as I understand it, the chest following you with the flute, is that a randomizer thing? Does that happen in the vanilla game?
You'd have to ask somebody who runs Hundo, unfortunately. I know it won't follow you through a save and quit. It probably follows you with a flute.
All right. I believe it was just a heart piece in that purple chest, right?
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. All right. And what medallion do we need for?
That was quicker than I could look. I'm sure Scottish caught it.
Yes, I was going to say, but I think the tracker has it for sure. Looks like ether. So Mire, you could dip into Mire. Unfortunately, it would be so convenient if it was a crystal, considering our loadout at the moment. But it's unfortunately not. So we're gonna definitely opt for these desert checks first, I'd imagine, and just avoid Mire.
Go do the full clearable crystal dungeon instead. Makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And we didn't get a checkerboard check yet, but I'm sure Scottish will remember to do that after desert. Unless I missed it, but I don't think she went over there. Okay, desert needed boots, it looks like. And Coughlin doesn't yet have boots, so but I'm sure we're gonna be picking that up shortly. Checking all of these out of the Cave 45 and all that stuff. I would be surprised if Coughlin doesn't do Hype Cave with the purple chest and the other things.
Yeah, that's all part of the same route. He's not going to be bootsless all that much longer.
All right, well, there's Big Key.
Interesting that Scottish is going back to check the big chest here before going to the boss, having already found one item.
Yeah, you kind of go to the back at that point and just hope that Landmo has something, and then you don't have to come back here and check it. And in this case, that would have been the play, because we got the map.
It may have been a comment on, I don't really want to have to do the fighter sword, hammer, bow, land molas. Not the most fun fight in the world if you're
True.
not particularly schooled in the bow strats from playing No Major Glitches.
I always bonk on the key there every time. It's nice to see people do it right. Okay. What was on the Bombos tablet? 'Cause we got a check there, but I couldn't.
That was
what it
pocket
said.
change, so that's some small
okay.
denomination of rupee.
All right. Well, guess we'll never be activating Bombos then. All right, Coughlin about to go pick up the boots. Good job, Coughlin.
Then what do you do once you have them is, I'm kind of surprised, and some of our chatters have been saying this as well, that neither of our runners wound up in the Palace of Darkness. We've got the boat, we've got the lamp, we've got the hammer. It's full clearable crystal
high density
dungeon.
check too.
It can take a little while just because it's so backloaded. It's front-loaded with keys and backloaded with the things that you're actually looking for, or at least you hope the things you're actually looking for.
But yeah, with it being a crystal and having a decent amount of checks, it is a surprise that neither have opted to go there. But it doesn't seem like it was a bad play to delay it at this point.
A heart container on a boss. That looks like vanilla behavior to me, but it is a third crystal, which is not something the land molas are supposed to drop usually.
Yep, so the crystal's nice, I guess. And maybe a little bit of extra life doesn't hurt. And we're going to be seeing Checkerboard Cave here, I would imagine. While Coughlin goes to check Bonk Rocks, which we haven't seen yet. So, 2 checks that haven't been seen yet from both runners. Art piece and neither yielding anything of note. Oh, yes, and again, I can't forget about him. So we're going to get a check here. Maybe something really useful. Maybe our fire rod. Who knows?
Another convenient efficiency play, to be sure, being capable of using that mirror to just check everything. Coughlin's going to go ahead and make the lumberjack check now. Yeah. He's in the area.
I was going to say, if Coughlin's like, oh my gosh, wait a second, is there something on? Again, I got to go check this real quick. Probably feeling a little relieved. Or not Agina, I meant Aghanim being in play. I always mix their names up.
Yeah, they're a lot closer in the English renditions of them than they are in the original text.
Very true. And speaking of pod, we are going to see a pod play here. While Coughlin sort of follows in Scottish's footsteps here, doing a bit of the Mire. I'm going to check the Checkerboard Cave before doing Desert, though. Now, what are the statistical odds that Sahasrara is holding our fire rod? And all of Mire's required?
Not terribly good, but getting better with every check that doesn't have it.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I would wish this upon either runner, but if that were the case, I think it would be a very interesting for the viewers. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. Yep. It's nice to be able to see this room so quickly without having to clip the mimics out. I'm gonna pick up a blue potion. I like that. Might as well.
Big free spender there. Bought the blue potion, realized, wait a minute, I burned off all of my magic. I should probably refill that. Could have done it for 60 rupees, paid the extra 100 premium. Just showing off for all the fans out there.
Yeah. Money is no object for Coughlin. Dinner is definitely on Coughlin tonight. And we still haven't checked anything related to Zora. So there's all of that and Hobo as well, depending on what's in these dungeons. But when you've got full clearable crystal dungeons, you're going to want to put that stuff off anyway.
It's entirely possible to go ahead and leave Palace of Darkness and go chain up something like Pyramid Ledge, Catfish, and Mire into the Zora area and pick most of that up. You still have to find a way to get at that guy under the bridge, though. A little bit of an out-of-the-way check, just based on the way things have gone thus far. You could do it when you're leaving. If you remember to mirror down there, you can go down that ladder and mirror and check Hobo that way. But sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to bear in mind.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you don't do it at like with your South Shore checks, it's something that gets put off oftentimes. And it's not like Hobo's known for holding on to, the rare progression item or something. It definitely happens because that's what a randomizer is. But yeah, if you don't check Hobo by then it's one of those things that becomes really awkward to check later.
And then your Go Mode Quake medallion is there, or your hook shot, or whatever it is you're looking for. Well, it's not going to be the Ice Rod, though, which Scottish has found in that's normally a vanilla small key chest there in the Dark Maze. The randomizer cannot place a small key there, and instead has placed the Ice Rod.
Well, looky there. I can't imagine Coughlin's going to be Ice Rodless for too much longer, either. And always nice to get that Ice Rod early, especially knowing Turtle Rock is a crystal at this point. But we still need that Fire Rod.
Now, that's been marked on Scottish's side, and I may have just blinked and missed it.
I guess maybe I missed it, too. So, don't need Fire Rod. Fire Rod was in Pod. Rod Pod.
Just go to Palace of Rods.
Yep.
Find everything. We've got everything for your rod needs here at Palace of Rods.
Yeah, stop on by. We got 50% off rods all through the weekend. So we just need, Quake? At this point, we're still looking for Quake?
We are looking for Quake, and if you cannot hover or Moldorm bounce, you're going to need to find the hook shot.
Yep. So hook shot and Quake is what's keeping us from Go Mode, it looks like.
And both of our runners still technically in Sword Go Mode as well. You still expect with 3 more of them kicking around in the world somewhere that you're going to find them before you really need them. You can get through the rest of the game, but Ganon's going to insist that your sword at least be blue.
At least that. So yeah, we're still looking for that as well. Let's hope they find it on the way. And
it seems pretty likely with the Ice Palace and Turtle Rock still with a pretty decent chunk of density there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ganon's Tower Basement has gobs and gobs and gobs of checks. You just hope that you land on the sword before you land on the big key, because then you have choices to make.
That is an awkward situation that I hope we don't see. But it's always possible, depending on how the seed goes.
Now, given the advent of that fire rod, I do expect we're going to be seeing Ice Palace here in the very near future.
Oh yeah, with that being the red crystal, especially ice rod. Sorry, not ice rod. Ice palace makes a lot of sense.
Helmasaur King down for Scottish Brave, 20 rupees that she's not really concerned about. It does bring her total up to 4 digits, but more importantly, the crystal count has reached 4.
Indeed. So yeah, I think you're right. Ice Palace would be a really good play here. Get that crystal, get those checks, be able to do the skips with Cane of Samaria and all that. So
I think she may want to go ahead and knock out Skullwoods first.
Actually, Skullwoods does, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Makes
perfectly reasonable. Fire Rod gives you access to that crystal as well.
And you need
Maybe
it.
a little more convenient of a fight than Fighter Sword Cold Stare, although Fighter Sword Moth, not the greatest thing in the history of fights.
That's true. Now, Scottish was was she able to pick up a potion of some kind for a magic refill?
I don't think she has yet.
Yeah, I know Coughlin did for sure.
Yeah, Coughlin definitely has that blue potion in the back pocket. The contents of Scottish Brave's bottle is a little more unknown at the moment.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a full check here of Skullwoods. Probably. No check left behind.
At least making that check in the middle first, you're hoping if nothing else, if it's not an item for you, you're hoping it's at least a small key to make your life just a little easier.
Yep. Yeah, because it's very possible. I mean, what you hope for is that you don't have to do that really weird chest here, but it's not terrible.
It's less inconvenient when you have the mirror.
Yeah. Man, it's easy to forget how useful that mirror is. I mean, you need it for a lot of things. So it's definitely something that you have to pick up at some point. But there's a number of spots where it makes routing the dungeons way more convenient. And something easy to forget is you need the sword to get back here. So it's a good thing they picked that up in Kakariko way earlier.
Yeah, we've had the one swingy for a good 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, we've had it for a
second
while.
one has been in hiding ever since.
Yeah, that low magic here and that miss is going to hurt. So we'll see how Moth goes. Definitely doable, but... Oh, we're seeing some hammer strats. Okay.
Absolutely. Hammer does tempered sword damage. If you can get up above the Moth, it's a whole lot easier, and there we go.
Wow. Nicely done. It was looking kind of dicey there for a sec, but... Now, is Coughlin going to be doing desert now? Coughlin hasn't done desert yet. Okay, I was like, Coughlin's not going to be doing Mire. So no Mire dip, just, at least not yet. Definitely going to do desert first. I'm surprised Coughlin didn't do desert earlier, because they already checked the Mire checks. And it was clearable at that point, because that's what Scottish did. Unless I'm missing something.
Maybe just hoping to have a little better equipment, and in this case has wound up on a little better equipment. Remember, Scottish didn't have either of those rods when she came here. Coughlin, if he can hold on to his magic, is going to have a much quicker Lanmola's fight.
It's also possible that Coughlin hadn't picked up the boots. I can't remember, though. And the boots weren't definitely needed to complete Desert Palace, so that's possible. Oh, ped check. What do we got? A better sword?
We have a sword. You have better copy of your sword for your time.
Okay.
So one sword locked behind all 3 pendant dungeons. Thank you, video game.
Okay, so we're gonna... I'm sorry, that's magical. Vanilla sword there. But
Currently,
you can get up to tempered,
vanilla
right?
sword. Yes, you can reach tempered in this, so that could turn into a tempered sword, or it could turn into 20 rupees if we find the other 2. And that did answer the question of whether or not there were anything in Scottish Brave's bottles at the time. Just went and bought that blue potion.
All right. And we are going to see Ice Palace. No sense delaying this. While Coughlin finishes up Desert Palace. I'm sure we'll see Coughlin going into Ice Palace pretty soon as well. Man, there's just this small part of me that wants to see pedestal required. Small part of me.
I'm trying to figure out where the possibility is going to come from, because we've already seen that one of the tablets does not have a sword.
Yes, we saw Bombos. I thought we were going to be able to see Ether earlier with Scottish Brave, but we weren't able to see that. She had the book at that point, but she didn't go over and check. She went straight for that bottle. Okay. We're going to get to see some Cane of Shenanigan action here in just a few moments. Going to hit that switch first.
Looks like Scottish thinking, I've already found the one item in the first check that I made. We're going to go ahead and hit the switch just in case I don't find the big key by the time I found all the items. Or it could just be a comfort thing. There are some runners out there who just say, you know what, I like the way this dungeon routes better when I hit that switch.
Yep.
Even if it's going to be a mild time loss, it's a comfort thing for me, and it's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to make those plays that sometimes just doing what's comfortable for you is better, even if it ends up costing you a little bit of time. All right, the thrilling conclusion to Coughlin's Skull Woods here in just a few moments. We had to find out next time on Coughlin's side.
First two items in Ice Palace not turning out anything worth coming here for. It is the other 5-6 crystal, so there is some value attached to this, or at least some more potential value, no matter what the outcome of the items is.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crystal absolutely necessary, but still, you're kind of hoping to find Quake or Hookshot in here. And if you go through all of this and then you take the time to go check Pyramid Fairy, and we haven't even seen what's on Pyramid, I don't think, yet. And then that turns up to be nothing. Then you feel a little sad about that.
The other item in Skull Woods was that single arrow, normally tucked away in the Dark U basement, that Rupee basement in Palace of Darkness. It's migrated to some other basement today.
They need to make a mode called the single arrow mode, where your job is to find the single arrow and you win once you find it. Kind of like the ice rod hunt mode. Fighter sword moth again for Coughlin. Although Coughlin has that potion, I'm going to switch to hammer, which makes sense. Conserve the potion if you can, because Coughlin hadn't been hit yet. Oops, spoke too soon.
You still may as well use the health as the resource. If you have to go to the safety eventually, that's fine, but you're hoping that instead we're going to get through without it.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. And you want to make, I mean, you bought the blue potion, you want to make the best use of that. And not going to need it. Down to 3 hearts, just like Scottish was. All right, so Quake and Hookshot, not in Ice Palace. Not sure if they found if something's on Cold Stare or not, so I can't remember. That fighter sword is not making these Dark World dungeon bosses very easy.
No, and Scottish could have still taken one more hit from the Cold Stare Puffs before needing to burn that blue. Said, nope, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get the fire rod out and make life a little easier.
I agree. Yeah. Get Cold Stare done. You know, not just the damage with the fighter sword. I think the biggest drawback with it is its reach. It's so much smaller compared to the upgrades, and that lack of reach can be a problem.
It's the lack of reach and the fact that there are some things, like a lot of the Dark World bosses, that will take no damage from the slash effect of it. You have
Yeah.
to spin to do anything at all. And we saw a couple of times there where Scottish was trying to get that spin charge, and the Cold Stare Puff came right up, and it counted as a poke.
Yep.
And the poke doesn't do any damage, but it does make you drop the sword, so the charge stopped.
Yeah, it's really nice to find a sword upgrade by the time you're doing these Dark World dungeons. But that doesn't mean these bosses can't be beaten with it. It just requires some extra finesse. And we are going to see the hobo check. We'll see what's on hobo. Quake, hookshot, who knows?
It does seem to be about that time to start following these flippers. The Ice Palace had nothing, and the flippers were so early that you kind of expect to see something behind them.
Well, the heart piece. So hobo coming up empty.
Still have the entirety of the Zora area available, and then if you still
Absolutely.
have nothing, do you check Pyramid before you dive Swamp?
I would, but then again, I'm terrible at this, so I don't know. That's a good question. I think both plays are defensible, but I guess you're really, really hoping to not have to dip a pendant. But there's also, I mean, I've seen so many seeds where there's at least one thing required in some sort of pendant dungeon. And so, you know, that fear of going into pendant dungeons can really backfire on you.
And it seems we do have our answer from Scottish Brave here, going to turn that bomb in. We get the Pyramid check along with it, and then maybe you go ahead and carry that up to Catfish, Mire over, check the rest of those Zora checks, and you can put off the decision of, do I go into a pendant dungeon until that point in time? And you're kind of hoping that by then you get an answer you like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like this routing. I mean, if you're going to check these things, this is probably one of the more efficient ways to get it done. So you're not like abandoning some location to have to rush back to at some later time and be really out of the way. And Catfish being one of those things that if you can just route it in to something, whether it's the mushroom or Zora, just something, it's nice, because having to go there for just that one check is so annoying. And there is our other sword, French Vanilla.
Reasonably vanilla placement, and the Pyramid Fairy vending blue potion. That's really handy.
That's really nice.
If you happen to have to burn your potion on your trip up the tower and you're worried about your Ganon fight, and if you're on Master Sword Silverless at that point, maybe you are, you know that you've got a freebie right there.
That is a really convenient spot for that blue potion. Absolutely. All right, so I guess we're not going to be seeing Tempered Sword then today.
It's possible that we are. All four swords are placed in this mode. If
that's
we do
true.
find the other third sword, that one on the pedestal is just going to turn into rupees.
Okay.
Coughlin having a little trouble with that statue, had not quite pulled it far enough back.
Those things are so annoying. Those little things like that where you're like, no, I'm racing right now. Don't get caught up on this statue. Having to burn that potion early because of the lack of magic. That's not necessarily ideal in this Cold Stare fight. Oh my gosh, the fairies just are loaded with swords today. So there's our Tempered. Making a liar out of me.
Suddenly, pedestal looking a whole lot less appealing. Scottish Brave has gone from a white swingy through a blue swingy to a red swingy in the span of about, what would you say, a minute and 15 seconds?
Yeah, it was a very short amount of time.
Goodbye, Master Sword. We hardly knew you.
Yep. Didn't get a lot of time with it, but I'm sure Scottish is just as happy with probably more happy with the Tempered. So, dang. I mean, unless you're just extremely desperate for cash. I guess we're not going to see that Ped. Ped is dead.
Coughlin, putting his 6th crystal on the board, has the same set of choices to make now that Scottish had just a minute or so ago. And now Scottish has new choices. Where are we going to go to try and find this Quake medallion?
It is, and I mean, we're still missing our hook shot as well. This is, now it could be hook shot. Hook shot could be in Turtle Rock, and then Quake could be somewhere out here somewhere. But yeah, it's starting to get desperate. We might need to dip into one of these pendant dungeons. Mire is an attractive play. It's starting to become more attractive as the time goes on.
Particularly given how the game likes from time to time to lock one of Boots or Hook behind the other in Mire. Mire being the green pendant means you do have that additional item's worth of density attached to it.
Yeah, so it makes sense to go in there, depending on... Oh, but man, you never like to have to do that. And we know the Bonk Rocks is nothing.
Now, I do not believe that when Fred Coughlin was on this particular loop that he picked up the graveyard ledge, so we will get a new check here, unless I'm completely mistaken.
I don't remember it. I know for sure Coughlin checked the Hero's Tomb. Or the King's Tomb. But not yet. It's possible that he didn't check.
He certainly did the bonk checks, but I don't believe that he had his Dark World access with him at the time. But it's 20 rupees, so one way or the other, not gonna matter. Unless, of course, he wants to give that time back later, having not checked it previously, and
True.
Still looking for one of those remaining outstanding items.
Right. Some money, nothing on Pyramid, and Coughlin about to pick up the next sword upgrade.
Mildly surprised the bomb didn't come out there.
Yep. And more importantly, if Coughlin goes up there to check Zora, he'll be picking up his bug net. So, I'm sure he's been desperate to try and find that thing. Not at all going to be happy about that tempered sword. No, no, no. It's all about that bug net.
Scottish Brave going to show us exactly what the small denomination of rupees was up here on Bombo's tablet.
Here we go.
We know that it's some small denomination of cash. Let's find out what it is. 5.
Well, there we go. That's probably like a fast food burger or something.
Yeah, now we know curiosity sated, and Scottish Brave heading back to the Mire area has done everything else here. I'm pretty sure we're getting the Mire dive.
Now this is ether, right?
This requires ether. Yep, we have vanilla medallion requirements. We have seen at least one this tournament. My buddy Jesse, aka Radical Sniper 99, did one in, I believe that was his tiebreaker match to make it to brackets at all.
No bird toss there. I don't ever fault the runners for wanting to save the time. Not at all.
Sometimes saving the time and putting on the show are a little mutually exclusive, I understand.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's hope we find... The problem is we're 2 items from Go Mode at this point, so you could dip into Mire and find Hookshot and then go, okay, well, I've got Hookshot now, but you can't just leave this unchecked while you're in here, especially with that green pendant. It's a bit of a tough spot to be in. Instead of just hoping for that one item and you can just leave and do the rest of your seed. Going into Mire with 2 Go Mode items still needed is... Yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't see a full check. Now, if we get both items, there's maybe... How many items are in Mire, though?
There are 2, and then we have the green pendant for our bonus.
Yeah, for the 3rd. And so that's the thing. You have to make a gamble here on Wait, is there something on Green Pendant? Do I do that before going to Swamp Palace?
And Coughlin's giving us ether while we're wondering about Mire, and that is the magic powder.
Oh, what are the odds?
Coughlin is the one who made the check via the fake powder with the mushroom earlier. We know that it didn't have any value, but it's a convenient safety to have in this mode.
That might delay Scottish depending on how the rest of the seed goes. Now, what hasn't been checked here? That for Coughlin. Oh, I guess some of the hookshot cave, considering you've got boots, that one chest I think is technically in logic.
Yeah, the bonk shot chest is absolutely in logic here, and Coughlin going to go ahead and make that play while he's up here on the mountain.
Okay. It doesn't look like anything was found in Mire, so it's possible Scottish found both items, which were nothing, and then decided it's not worth doing the rest of Mire for that green pendant. Now, if your last item was on the boss, then maybe. But at this point... Oh, we're going to see Spike Cave. I was going to ask about that, too.
And I'm wondering how quickly that Scottish Brave is going to land on that, because I had wondered if she was going to attempt to make it with the sequence break earlier. The cape had been in inventory for a long time. The bottle would have made it logical, but of course all the bottles in this come with nothing in them. Oh, and Fred Coughlin is in a very tight spot there. There is a slight delay before you can activate the cape once you equip it. Had quick swapped to Cane of Samaria instead and placed that block on top of the steel block, and now is going to have to go back for a second bite at the apple.
Oh, that's a rough. So I guess you go back or you orphan that location, and it looks like we're gonna see Mire, which we know, at least as far as the items in Mire go, is nothing. There's still a possibility that Sahasrahla is hiding our hookshot or Quake. And I've seen him hide progression before. So it's a tough spot for the runners to be in, missing both Quake and hookshot, especially at this point.
Given how much value was already in that location, part of me feels like there's no way you can count on Sahasrahla having another progression item after having Hammer and Mire in the closet.
I know, right? How greedy can one man be?
We had the Hammer and the Mire in the closet. You feel like the old man still has one more thing to give.
Yep. And he's like, well, no, if you want this item, you're going to have to beat Mire. I'm not just going to give this away for free. All right. Picking up that fairy. Good choice there before checking Spike Cave. So we will see if Quake or Hookshot is on Spike Cave. That's going to be a really bad situation for Coughlin.
Now, we should note, Scottish going in here with only half the bar of magic, it is going to be enough, but if you had wound up in that kind of questionable health situation like Coughlin was, then it could have been a problem. And, of course, it's just another one of those 48 pieces of heart.
So, Coughlin not really losing any time there, if anything, gaining time from, I suppose, dying and death warping out, but so yeah, Coughlin made the right decision that even though he made that big mistake, skipping that, not going back for it was the right decision, it looks like.
Scottish going to chase the powder here. We've seen this as a fake powder from Fred Coughlin already. We know that it's not anything. Starting to run a little low on locations. I understand the desire not to go hookless into Swamp Palace, but it's starting to look like going hookless into Swamp Palace is going to have, if not the answer for our runners, at least an answer for our runners.
Yep, absolutely. Because you gotta figure if Sahasrahla can only have one item, so maybe both progression items are in Swamp Palace. But at the very least, one has got to be in there.
Unless the old man is holding the Quake medallion and then the hookshot is just in Turtle Rock, entirely possible.
Oh, that's another possibility there. So I would imagine if you find the Quake, you just go straight to Turtle Rock and hope to find the hookshot along the way. So is it possible for a seed? You need the hook shot, right, for Ganon's tower after Moldorm?
It is logically required. There are 2 glitches that you can perform to bypass it. Neither of them are easy.
Yeah, the hover is notoriously difficult. What's the other one?
The other one is the Moldorm bounce, which is not as input precise, but you're relying on the RNG of the worm. And you're relying on your limited bomb pool, and yeah, you're relying on a lot of things to kind of align for you.
Okay, we are going to see Hookless Swamp from Scottish.
And we are going to see Vitreous from Fred Coughlin. So here in the very near future, we're going to find out what the answer is.
Yep. We'll see. If Sahasrahla has something required, that's going to be a huge time save for Coughlin. While Scottish is probably going to last location that. Put that off as long as possible. Which we are running out of locations just in general, so we're going to have to figure something out.
Getting those classic tempered spin strats on the boss there from Coughlin, then arrows for phase 2.
A key, which we absolutely do not need at this point. Thank you, Vitreous, for the key.
Just says, hey, you can now logically check the fire-locked side. You can go do that now.
Go for it, bud. You found both items. Gone if you want. Pick up that map and/or compass or other key. Okay. Let's see, Swamp Palace so far, as I can tell. Nothing. We'll see what Sahasrahla has. At this point, there's a decent possibility he has something. Otherwise, I would have... At least one of our items are in... Well, I mean, Quake has to be in Swamp Palace, if not on Sahasrahla. I would imagine. I can't think of anywhere else. Oh, he has...
And it's the hook shot, but Scottish Brave finds the Quake medallion in the big chest of Swamp Palace.
Wow, Sahasrahla, you greedy old man! That is the second time I've seen something go mode on Sahasrahla.
Can Scottish Brave hover or Moldorm bounce? Because the chances that she's going to land on that hookshot are essentially 0.
Yes, that's the question. Now, if you're comfortable with that, if that's an option you have in your back pocket, that's when a situation like that, like having that option, can really shine. And because skipping out of Mire while a defensible play at the time turned out to be the wrong one in this seed. Now we know the item Coughlin's looking for is in Swamp, so...
and he's going to come up here and make the checks in Hookshot Cave first, hoping that Go Mode is just kind of out there, tucked under the mat by the back door. It is not in this seed, but it makes a lot of sense. You're hoping that you're just coming up here, you'll find what you need, you get to go knock out Turtle Rock and do all the things that you need to do to win the game.
Dead Rock's being very annoying for Scottish here.
A classical Dead Rock pattern.
It doesn't matter how good you are at this game, those Dead Rocks they'll get you. A Bombos, a medallion, but not the one we're looking for.
You see that yellow disc pop and you think, yes, and then you kind of process the rest of the image and say,
yep.
Nope.
For just a moment, your heart leaps for joy, only to plummet back down to the earth. Okay, so Coughlin making the right decision here, I believe, going straight into Swamp Palace.
I don't think he had all that much left.
Yeah, there's really not anything that I can think of. So,
and we should probably note, just for the sake of this going forward, that Scottish Brave was forced to burn her blue potion that she picked up from Pyramid Fairy to have enough magic to enter Turtle Rock.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Knowing where those blue potions are being vended right next to Ganon, I can understand doing it, but wow, that's a really unfortunate point in time to have to go ahead and make that spin.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because you got to figure Scottish is just going to go straight into Ganon's tower after this and hope that the hook shot's there. Or, like you mentioned, she hovers. So Coughlin in a much better position, having found that hook shot where we know it's very unlikely Scottish is going to go back and get that. But Scottish still, technically speaking, a crystal ahead. Or no, not a crystal head, but going to be once she finishes Turtle Rock.
Is, at the very least, the rest of Swamp that Fred Coughlin is going to do, and the mountain climb, and however far she is in TR at the point where Fred lands on that Quake medallion ahead at this point.
Yeah, it's going to come down to what Scottish can do without hookshot. That's a really mean location for hookshot to be.
Well, it's one of those things we were saying. Do you believe that the old man was holding out on you? If you do, maybe you prioritize that green pendant just a little more.
Yeah, it's unfortunate Scottish dipped out. But, I mean, when you get both your items in Mire so seemingly so early, because I don't think you even had to go check the that long cutscene room. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Well, I got both items. There's a small chance Sahasrahla has something. Let's not waste the time. But unfortunately, in this case, Sahasrahla's been greedy. I like the Charmander version of the sprite for the Charizard when you get hit by turn into the bunny.
So many of those bunny sprites on all of these custom sprites are really interesting.
Yeah, it's and the way the Dark World usually works out, you rarely see it because you find Moon Pearl so early, typically. But it's always nice when when they get hit in a dungeon, you get to see what that sprite is. I have some problems with these slinky monsters.
Yeah, the Pokey not cooperating so well there for Scottish Brave, and it looks like she is at least making a few additional checks, hoping to find that hook shot on the way, which means that Fred Coughlin is going to have the advantage of not stopping off for some of these checks that Scottish is making.
Yeah, it's like go mode Turtle Rock is quite nice, especially if you find a key. You can skip that torch room, I believe. So you just go straight, as best as you can, you just go straight to the boss, and you're not checking these, like, Mimic Cave and these other checks. Like, you don't, unless you need the key, you can skip Laser Bridge.
The stop off for Mimic Cave is really the big one, but yeah, the possibility of skipping Laser Bridge is another decent chunk of time. We'll see. We are going to get to find out, because it looks like Scottish is going to check all of these checks, hoping that hookshot is going to finally appear. And Fred Coughlin, as soon as he has the keys that he needs to proceed, is just going to go.
Yep, that's the benefit of early go mode. Well, go mode before your opponent, that is. And the dramatic irony telling us that we're not going to find hookshot in these locations, so we know it's just going to be a big waste of time for Scottish. Fortunately, she doesn't know that. Not going to stop up for that refill. That's okay.
Interestingly, getting out the cape, though.
Yeah. Especially with all that health, I can't imagine you. Oh, maybe for... Yeah, that's weird. You'd think you'd want to stop for the refill. But maybe she's
if you're thinking you might
need
the cape for this, you would think you would go ahead and grab that refill in the just-in-case scenario.
It's not a terrible time sink compared to if you do Laser Bridge wrong. That's going to cost you a lot of time. Oh, these are very annoying monsters, and you think, I have tempered. Why does it take me 4 slashes to kill this thing?
The answer Scottish Brave now knows is not on Laser Bridge, so going to go ahead and make the play on to Trinex.
I mean, we're going to see an interesting Ganon's Tower from Scottish Brave. I'm hoping that she knows how to hover. Because that definitely will save her in this situation. Especially having this healthy lead.
Was maybe a hair early on that second Ice Rod shot, and so the Firehead said, I'm changing back right now. If you hit me while I'm changing back, you don't get the effect.
And, man, those rods consume a lot of magic when you don't have magic in play. It's a rough situation to be in. And depending on whether or not you got, like, if you don't go to Laser Bridge and you don't bomb that area for that safety, which is totally defensible because you want to save that time, especially if you don't need to do Laser Bridge. You're not going to want to find yourself in a situation where you've run out of magic on Trinex.
It is a dangerous spot to be in. At least on Scottish's side, she had done that loop around to the big chest, and so would not have been sent all the way back to the entrance.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But either way, not needed. Showing us at home what an expert randomizer looks like.
Fred Coughlin having his own little adventure there in the pokey room, not quite as bad as the one that Scottish had, but neither of them got through that room terribly cleanly.
I'm already seeing the guesses in chat for Ganon's big key, but before we go in there, Scottish is going to check this here, just desperately hoping it's the hook shot.
One last chance on the way to the tower. You hope hookshot right here in the bonk chest. Nope, just the bombs.
No. Well, yeah. Make sure you get your guesses in now for what check the big key is going to be. And if you win, then you can tell all your friends. And they'll definitely think you're super cool for having gotten it right.
We do have those 22 possible locations. We have 27 possible locations where one other treasure could be hiding. We have not, at this late date, found the silver arrows.
That's true, and that's definitely going to be a helpful thing to find along the way, but both runners perfectly capable of silverless Ganon, I'd imagine. All right. That's 1, I believe. 2. I have to count out loud. I'm so bad at remembering. It's always nice in those other modes where that's 3, where the compass will tell you how many checks are in a dungeon, and you can use that.
Scottish going to stay in what she fondly believes to be logic here, picking up that small key off of the torch and then the small key from the next room, going to go ahead and go right.
Okay, full right. We had the hope room to the left side, then back to full right now.
I'm mildly surprised with the play to stay in logic that Scottish Brave didn't simply go and check the torch first. If that was your intention, I do wonder about making the hope room checks before going to the other side. The compass in the compass room, surprise, surprise.
Okay. It's not a randomizer without a little bit of vanilla sprinkled in. I've already lost count. I did my best.
We should be up to 7 at this point.
All right, I'm glad an expert is with me. I'm sure the tracker knows as well. Might see a similar play here by Coughlin. Of course, the big difference here is that Coughlin actually has the hook shot, whereas Scottish does not.
And we could wind up in a suddenly GT routing scenario, a route informed by Scottish Brave's lack of hookshot and Fred Coughlin's access to it.
May have been why she opted to do the routing she did, the logic routing she did.
I expect that it is. You get a small key and some bombs there in the Stelco's room, another small key, and it looks like Coughlin's killing all of these, so he does intend to continue on the left-hand side. And there's the big key in the Stelco's room.
Wow.
Sudden reversal of fortune, Fred Coughlin takes the lead at an hour, 29 minutes, and 30 seconds.
It's amazing how Ganon's tower routing can just swing a race in the other direction completely. I mean, assuming Scottish did pick up the hook shot and had that big of a lead, just lost immediately because of the routing. So I think Scottish has realized that it's possible that logically speaking, she has determined that the hook shot cannot be in Ganon's tower and is instead going to opt to finish Mire, I would imagine, or do some other checks that she maybe missed. Or maybe the rest of Swamp Palace.
And I am mildly surprised by this. Scottish Brave is an experienced cross-keys player, and I would think probably knows the left side bomb jumps to get around in Ganon's tower with the lack of the hook shot.
Yeah. It's just, how far can you get? How many more checks are in Swamp, considering you don't have the hook shot to get back there? I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and be like, no, do Mire, because I know the answer, but still.
But in this case, you have the two items on left side Swamp. You've got the one item on the green pendant. It's kind of a slog to get to both of them, so you're picking your poison here, and you're saying, 2 items feels better than 1 for the amount of time that I'm going to have to spend in both locations.
It's just so unfortunate that we know the truth. So this is 110% Coughlin's race to lose at this point.
Yeah, blink and you missed the gauntlet from Fred Coughlin, already on to Landmo 2, going to get up into these very satisfying Wizard rooms, as long as you've got Cane of Samaria available.
Yep.
You just kind of lay a Samaria block down, and it's an easy game all of a sudden.
It's almost like a few of these rooms were made for Cane of Samaria, the way it works out. Yep. Excellently done. Very well executed on Coughlin's side. Not that it's a particularly difficult trick to do, but it's always pleasant to see it done like that. Definitely using the lantern strats to conserve magic. Picking up that small. There's a big one right here that Coughlin's going to pick up.
Nobody wants to do this particular torch puzzle with the lamp only, although it is possible. You'd rather just grab that full magic decanter, go fire rod, fire rod, fire rod, fire rod, and walk out the door. And
if you're in a bit of a pinch, maybe lantern that last one. But I've seen that a couple of times. But yeah, it's definitely arguably faster to just pick up the thing, if not more comfortable as well. All right. Now here is the moment where the hook shot actually matters in Ganon's tower. Now if you hover, if you're going to have to hover anyway, and you know how to do that, or the bomb jump that you were mentioning, then you don't have to kill Moldorm. But I can't imagine it's too much quicker to skip him.
In fact, if you want to do the bomb jump, you cannot kill him. You need the Moldorm there. You have to tink your sword off the worm to get the proper distance off of your bomb jump to make the jump. And I should note, since Mr. Coughlin did open the ultimate chest of the game there, that it was containing its vanilla value, if not necessarily its vanilla contents. There are 20 some of those, so we can never be
Yeah.
truly sure, but it is that red rupee. That is what it is in the vanilla game.
In our
It
heart.
is a fun chest to open, and we can all just believe, if we believe strongly enough, that was the one true vanilla
Absolutely.
contents.
Yeah, I believe in my heart of hearts that that was the case. Although I'm sure Coughlin was hoping it was silvers. I can say. It was definitely vanilla. I just feel it. So Scottish coming to the conclusion that Sahasrahla has to have hookshot, and she's now kicking herself that she left Mire early, and is hoping that her opponent did the same. Now this was a green pendant. Well, logically speaking, green pendant required. Seed.
Coughlin through phase 1, going to go ahead and employ the cape on phase 2. While you're slashing, the cape doesn't always drain magic when it should, so still hanging on to about half of a bar.
Yep.
As long as he hits Torch Glitch here, everything's fine.
Yeah, probably going to see a standard swordless Ganon, or silverless Ganon, not swordless Ganon. Those exist in swordless mode, but I think some changes need apply.
No, Ganon, surprisingly enough, we did not find the silvers in Swamp Palace.
Okay. Wow, so this game, logically speaking, wanted you to do all of... I mean, I guess it makes sense, considering Mire is the green pendant, to get the hook shot, to then go in and complete Swamp Palace fully to get the silvers. And was Swamp Palace our blue? That might be some weird, like, pseudo-vanilla logic going on. Oh, missing that slash there. And blue potion, so there's no very rare chance that Coughlin's going to mess this up. But
It could have
assuming the
chosen to
worst.
go down to lamp doubles there instead if the blue
Yeah.
potion hadn't been in inventory, but just go ahead and stick with the fire rod for the potential triples instead. Just needs to get a couple more of
Absolutely.
these spins in.
And that's Ganon down. Get your GGs in chat for Fred. Opting to, I mean, the turning point here was completing Mire, actually. Committing to that was the turning point for Coughlin. Where Scottish was hoping to find that hook shot along the way. Unfortunately, wasn't the case.
And it appears that Scottish Brave, having seen that finish in the race room,
Yep.
has gone ahead and thrown in the towel.
Understandable. It's got to be a frustrating situation to have dipped out of or mirrored out of Mire after finding those two items, but definitely a defensible play. Like it's hard to say that a mistake was made. It's easy to say having the God's knowledge on all of the locations here at this point, but yeah, it's just that's the way randomizers go.
Yep, sometimes the item is exactly where you go looking for it, and sometimes it's not. If you want to know where everything is all the time, you can play Spoiler or go play the vanilla game. Both of those are
That's
options
true.
available to you. And we are joined here by ScottishBrave44. Scottish, good game to you.
Thank you very much. I don't think I played well, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you.
Well, I certainly think you played well.
Thank you very much.
How'd you feel about your conclusion on where Hookshot was?
I hate Vitty already, but now that's times a million because he's not very nice.
It's unfortunate because we saw you go into Mire, and we knew that there was a possibility something was on Sahasrahla. But then we saw you dip out, and we're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense to make a play like that. It unfortunately didn't pan out the way you wanted, though.
No, I was really hoping that it was in Turtle Rock. I had a feeling about Mire, but I was like, nah. I dipped in, I got 2 items, I was like, nah, okay, it was a bad feeling. Let's leave. You know, I'll get Quake, it'll be in Turtle Rock, and then we'll be fine. It'll be fine, just go. And then, as it went on and on and on, I'm like, I'm not getting a hook shot here, am I? And then I was like, I completely forgot everything I knew about ice key logic. I'm like, I have no idea if hook shot's required for ice or not. So let's just try. And then while I'm going around GT, I'm like, okay, I can bounce and bomb everything for the left side if the key's over there. But like, do I go for the hover, knowing full well that I can't nail it first time? And then I was like, no, because I'm literally going to spend half an hour trying to get that at this point. So yeah, I was going to feel worse, to be honest, if it was on left side swamp.
Yeah, it was a close race for sure. Up until that point where Coughlin decided to finish Mire and you didn't.
Yeah,
and we were wondering if we were going to see a hover, because that would have kept it pretty much even at that point. Though Coughlin found Big Key much before you, in Ganon's tower.
Yeah. Honestly, as soon as I left GT, I was like, I'm just waiting for Fred to finish now. That's what it literally. Either that, or he did exactly what I did, and we're both panicking because we don't have a hook shot. I don't know if you could hover or not, and I was like, okay, I'm either waiting for him to finish, or we're both in the same situation. But yeah, it was. I made the call to leave, and it wasn't the right call. It's the way it goes sometimes.
It was a defensible call, though, considering the situation.
I'll take that. That'll be my argument from now on. Why'd you leave? Look, it's defensible, all right?
Yeah, it's defensible. You can't. I mean, we can't expect you to be psychic or anything.
Well, at the time, you still had plenty of other locations available. Why did it have to be that one thing? Oh, because it's Rando, that's why.
Why did it have to be him? Why did it have to be Vitty? Like, really? I think, I can't remember what I went in there with. I have a feeling I was only in there with a fighter sword as well. I can't quite remember now. But
which dungeon?
Mire, the first time I went in.
Oh, actually, I'm not... You're right, I can't remember either.
Yeah. If I had a fighter sword, okay, it's defensible. If I didn't...
the bone sword on Vitreous is not great, but you might have had the bow. I know that you got the tempered real fast. Both of you did because of the routing you guys both did. But, so you either had the bone sword or you had tempered. Either way. Yeah, either way, I still thought your decision to leave Mire wasn't terribly surprising given the circumstances.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes, doesn't it? Sometimes you make a call and it is a galaxy brain play, and sometimes you make a call and it's the worst thing you can do. It's literally just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm glad, to be honest. I was very, very nervous for this race because Fred is an astoundingly good racer. So I'm glad that I tuned. So when we finished and we chatted, I thought I'll open the restream and see where we were. And yeah, we were both in GT at the same time, but obviously me minus hookshot. And I'm glad I kind of kept it that close. If I'd just gone and finished Mire the first time, I think it would have been a really, really close race. So I'm glad I kept it that close, just minus one bad decision.
Yeah, and that's what, that's why I wasn't just saying it. I thought you played well. I mean, you guys were pretty much neck and neck. There wasn't, like, Coughlin didn't run away from it or run away with it early on or anything like that. You guys were sort of doing that tug of war. Sometimes Coughlin was in the lead, like, you could argue, and then sometimes you were in the lead, you could argue, just different decisions, but ultimately landing you in a pretty nice spot, sans hookshot. And if you had gone to get hookshot, you would have been in a pretty decent spot, I think. It would have been a really close match.
Yeah. Well, this is the way it goes. I'll try and bring it back for game 3. For game 2, rather, and then I'll wiggle a game 3 out of him.
That's the way to do it, yes.
Oh, you'll bring it back for the game 3. That means we have the supreme confidence in the outcome of game 2, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we have to see a game 3. So
Yeah,
we know for sure you're going to
yeah.
win, Scottish. We can.
Yeah, confidence
feel
is
it.
a word. That's a nice word. Yes, yes. Determination. I'm quite determined to try and see it through to a game 3.
All right. Well, I love hearing that. And I'm sure the viewers love hearing that too, because the more the games, the more races, the better.
Well, I have to keep a promise to Rywick, so I have to do it.
Okay. Well, yeah, you don't have a choice at this point. You got to
No.
keep your promise. And
Yeah.
you're not one to break promises.
Let's just say yes.
We'll go with yes. Yeah.
We'll go with yes. Yeah, let's just say yes and protect my fragile reputation, please.
You heard it here,
Yeah,
folks.
that 6-0 runner and the fragile reputation right there. Yeah, sure.
Listen, Lady Luck shines on us all at some point, but I don't know. I must have annoyed her today.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll watch this back for sure. But yeah, that's a lesson learned. And I know as well, Homewrecker's gonna have a go at me because he's a big fan of believing Mire, and I'm a very big fan of not believing in Mire.
Oh, and this definitely is a point towards believe Mire.
Oh no, don't believe in Mire.
I've got a scoreboard over here, and I have to tick one more over on the believe Mire after this.
Oh, how much to bribe you to just not do that?
Well, I'll DM you. We'll set a price.
That was cool. That's cool. Just let me know.
Now, Scottish, I know that on your own personal stream you have Seed Since Last Ped Seed. How did you feel that you read Ped at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, because I was theoretically hoping, I was hoping for to be Quake Go and Hookshot to be nestled away nicely in Turtle Rock, and it's medallions can be anywhere except inside the dungeon that you need them to be. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go and do Skullwoods. There's not a better time to read Ped, and I was like, please, don't ruin my count. I'm in double digits right now. I want to keep it going. Please don't ruin this for me. So I saw the sword and I was a bit about it, but there had to be. I was thinking there had to be at least one other out there, and I would have just given Master Sword Ganon a shot. So I'm very relieved it wasn't Ped.
Yeah, we saw that, and I said out loud to everybody, I said, boy, I sure hope that there is another sword easy to get for them, and this isn't a Ped seed. I definitely wasn't wishing for a Ped seed out loud to everybody.
Is that what I'm going to hear when I listen to this back, or are you telling me lies right now?
110%, I would never lie to you, Scottish. Never.
You've got this thing in your voice that tells me you're lying.
This little lilt in my voice, huh? You picked up on that.
A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, you need to practice
I can't pull the wool over your eyes, Scottish. That's true.
Oh no, I think have we had one already? I think I've had one already. This tournament so far. Yeah. I have an awful memory. I'm very certain.
There was definitely that Quake Go mode on Ped in the qualifiers.
No, did I have that one?
Oh.
Ped seeds are just awful all round, unless it's like the first thing you check and you're like, right, boof, let's go. But
yeah, Ped seeds are awful unless you're in chat, and then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Doesn't chat loves Ped?
Yeah, they're always asking, wait, is Ped dead? I just got here. Is Ped dead?
Yes. Let's kill Ped.
Kill him. All right. Well, I know where you stand on Ped.
Oh, I think it's common knowledge now. It's common knowledge I feel about Ped, Vitty, and the lamp. One of those things is not like the other because I love it.
Well, I'm guessing you love lamp.
I love lamp.
Okay. Not only is it true, it's also the meme. I respect it. It's
listen, everybody's like, I don't need lamp, but see when you get it, you're like, oh, precious lamp.
I love you. Oh, I'm gonna shine you to a nice luster till I can see myself in you. Thank you so much for not making me have to do dark rooms, you precious angel.
Exactly. You're like, I could do dark rooms, no problem at all. But then you get it and you're like, thank the Lord I don't have to do dark rooms today.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Dark rooms are the worst.
They are. It's just like, yes. So yeah, totally underrated. Nobody shows Lamp the love and appreciation it deserves. So
Yes, Lamp is necessary for Go mode, everybody. I'm
exactly.
lying, but still, it's still technically logically needed at least.
Yeah, this would be a good time for me to announce my Love Lamp cult. I need your belongings and all your money, and you can join, and we will love Lamp together.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to join. I have a choice now.
Yeah, that's okay. If you give me all your possessions, then I'll count that, and then you can just grab that mark off Believe in Mire, and then we're equal, and then you can join.
I don't know how equal that actually is, but I'll take it. I'll take you up on that offer. No Mire tick. Do not believe Mire, chat.
Love it.
All right, Scottish. Any other thoughts on the seed? It was not just the hook shot. There were some other twists and turns to it with the kind of lateness of the moon pearl there. You two got to follow each other around for quite a while, and then the divergence happened only once you got into Dark World. So, anything else you'd like to say about the seed?
That was a funny scenario. That was hilarious. But yeah, I didn't. Oh, I was very happy about the early bow as well, because I absolutely forgot that this is non-progressive bows until I picked it up and I was like, oh, that's quite nice actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from that, if that hook shot had been in a better position, I think we'd both be having much better times. But yeah, it was an alright seed apart from that. I think did Rossi roll this?
I think this was a Drosy seed, yep.
Yeah. Rossi, you're banned from rolling. Yeah, no, apart from that, yeah, it was alright, it wasn't too bad. But also just to say thank you very much for the restreaming to you both for comment as well. And I'm not sure who's tracking, but thank you for tracking as well.
The brilliant Aku.
Aku, thank you so much for tracking.
Yep, and be sure to give both runners a follow. They did excellently. This was a joy to watch, a very good seed, and I appreciate, everybody for being a part of it and making it happen.
Yeah, Rex, I think this is about the time where we're going to have to wind this thing down. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again sometime.
I agree.
This is the last race of the early afternoon, but there is some more tournament action coming up this evening. If you need some more Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament in your life, come on back. SpeedGaming 2 at 5:40 Eastern Time. We have Game 2 between McMonkey and Error. I believe Airy took the first game of that, but again, these are best of three, so Monkey looking to even up that score. Then 30 minutes after that, 6:10 is Zelgadis-san versus MM2 NES cartridge. That is a game 3 if needed. Well, it appears to be needed. So winner moves on to the round of 32 in that one. There's another game on SpeedGaming 5 at the same time. That'll be Telethar versus Eridan. There's no note about which game in the series that might be. And then our nightcap this evening is... it doesn't look like we've got a SpeedGaming channel for it, but at 7:40 p.m., Ravis versus Chimo Game 2. So all things coming up in the remainder of the day. If Link to the Past Rando is something that you're looking to see some more of, if you want to know what else is going on SpeedGaming, go ahead and follow SpeedGaming 2 through 6, our foreign language channels, SpeedGaming Francais, Deutsch, Portuguese, and Espanol. You can go to speedgaming.org/schedule if you'd like to see what's going on all of those channels. And for the cases where we cannot get the games on SpeedGaming, there are also ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 5, covering more Link to the Past rando action. So, Careless Rex, I think we have said just about everything that needs to be said. If you've got some final thoughts, this is where you come in with them. Otherwise, everybody have a great rest of your afternoon, eh?
Nothing but a heartfelt thank you for everybody involved. Appreciate it.
All right, that'll do for us. Have a good rest of your afternoon, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.